Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday morning. You might have just gotten home from church, but I'm here with my man JJ. We are going to preach the gospel of the weekly NFL picks and predictions. Last week we both went 11-5. I'm 0-1 because I picked the Bears and JJ picked the Commanders on Thursday night. But we got a lot of games to get into. But what's going on, JJ? How you doing out there?
Not much, man. How you doing? How's it going?
All right.
Sorry.
Hang in there.
I'm sorry.
It's a big day. We got El Clasico. We got Real Madrid and Barcelona. So I'm wearing my Real Madrid shirt. And then Rafi says he likes it. Yeah. Real Madrid. Got to wear my Real Madrid stuff on El Clasico. But we got to make our predictions. So we're going to start the first game on our early schedule.
How you just gonna leave out basketball starting when you are a huge Sixers fan and you guys are?
I ain't worried about the NBA season. It's 82 games, brother. I got plenty of time to get into the NBA.
You are center stage to open the season. You are center stage.
I don't care. The Phillies are going to the NLCS. How about we give them some respect? Now,
good job, Phillies. And yes, hopefully you can cash in because we did when we let this guy go. So if you guys come in and you cash in with Bryce Harper. Kudos.
All right, I'm gonna ignore that sarcasm, and we're just gonna go to the game.
That wasn't sarcasm. That was very much appreciation for you, buddy.
San Francisco 49ers versus Atlanta Falcons. 49ers are 4.5-point favorites, and the over/under is at 45. You know what? The Atlanta Falcons put up a good fight against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week, and everybody knows the roughing the passer thing happened on Grady Jarrett, which he was not fined for, by the way. He did not receive any fine. I think Tom Brady received some fine for pushing him or something like that.
$100 for the unsportsmanlike when he tried to kick him as he was coming
back. Or
he
kicked him, or something like that.
He kicked, but he missed. But he was trying to.
I hope the NFL figures out, how to fix this situation, but it doesn't seem like it's going in the right direction right now. But anyway, about this game, the 49ers are one of the best teams in the NFC. I think that when it comes to my Eagles, when I'm thinking about the other teams in the NFC, I think the 49ers are, a tough matchup against us if we were to play against them in the playoffs, for sure. Their defense is amazing. Their defense is opportunistic. Their offense, you have Shanahan with all the creativity and all of that over there. So the 49ers are a really good team. I think that it won't be a blowout, but the 49ers, they'll handle their business and they'll get the win today.
I just want to say Tom Brady's 45 years old. He ain't about to be taking too many hits like that. He ready to get the heck up out of this game. Them hits hit different as you get older, no matter how much he trains. But to this game, San Francisco's defense is by far, in my opinion, the best defense, better than Buffalo in the sense of they're not afraid to.
I don't think you're wrong.
They're not afraid to use putting people in man coverage. Buffalo likes to keep you from making the big play. So oftentimes they're not going to be blitzing. They're not going to be in man coverage too much because they have their two safety shell over the top. But San Francisco, I think this is a bad matchup for Atlanta. I have San Francisco winning. I think I'm going to take the under on the points. But if I had to pick players that I would be looking for Mariota if he had interception props. I would be looking for Jeff Wilson if he has rushing yard props because the Atlanta Falcons are one of the worst teams against the run, and San Francisco is one of the best teams against and using the run. And typically, when you have a strong offensive line, you have a good chance to run on pretty much anyone. And San Francisco has that.
Yep.
I am curious to think about Drake London's receiving yards because I think this is going to be a situation because Atlanta won't be able to run the football that he's going to get opportunities to try to get yardage because Mariota is going to have to throw the ball. Which is why I picked the interceptions. But I think those are the guys that I would go to. My locks is Jeff Wilson for rushing yards, and I think Mariota's interceptions is a good bid.
So we're both picking the 49ers then.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm picking them 49ers, but that 4.5 is teasing. Like, it's making me seem like they're going to win by a touchdown. It sure feels like that. But with this
You're thinking more like a field goal?
something like that, or 4 points on the dot, like 28-24. That's a touchdown.
So Falcons cover, coming from JJ, the betting aficionado. You heard it here first, gentlemen and ladies. So now we got the New England Patriots against the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns pretty much choked last week against the Chargers. They were pretty much in control the majority of the game. They gagged it at the very end. You got the Patriots. They pretty much shut down one of the most potent offenses in the league this year, the Detroit Lions. Held them to a goose egg on the scoreboard with that 26-0 victory against Detroit last week. I gotta go with the Browns here. The Browns run the football, handle your business. Offensively, the Patriots are not that dangerous. They don't have the playmakers like the Chargers have. They don't have a quarterback like Justin Herbert that can, make those type of plays for them. So Browns, if you don't turn the ball over and do a bunch of stupid stuff, I feel like, being at home, you should not lose this game. You're 2.5-point favorites. Even if it's an ugly, close win, maybe something 24-20, 24-21, I don't know. I got the Browns winning at home. Browns, you got to handle business. Don't choke like you did last week.
I got the Browns, and I got the Browns in this one. I think they win by a field goal. That over/under at 43.
It seems about right.
Because both teams can run the football. The one thing they both do well is run the football. And Cleveland gave up 110-plus yards to Austin Eckler on under 13 carries. His yards per carry was almost 10 yards per carry. And Ramondre Stevenson is a capable running back for New England, and he has been able to get off on teams because New England's offensive line is well equipped to big in the long haul. And I think they want to slow the game down. They want to really extend possessions because I think this is a game that New England feels like they can win because they have been in close contests with AFC North foes to start the season. One, they did end up letting the last second half just kind of let them get away. But I actually like Cleveland to win this game. But I like Chubb, I like Stevenson, and I like Njoku's receiving yards in this game because Jacoby Brissett loves David Njoku. And
yes, sir. What's going on to my man James? Go Birds, go Eagles. And next game we got Green Bay Packers coming off a loss to the other team in New York, the New York Giants. In the UK last week in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium over there. So tough loss for the Packers. And, that was pretty much a game that nobody was expecting them to lose. Now you're coming back home. You're 7.5-point favorites. That's a lot of points for the Green Bay Packers. Playing at home, coming off a loss like that, I think they need to come out and make a statement. Aaron Rodgers needs to have the classic Aaron Rodgers type of performance. And they need to handle their business. So I think Green Bay is going to win this game. I think they're going to win this game by 10 points. I think they will cover the 7.5. And the over and under, I don't know. I think the Jets will put up some points. So I think that sounds about right, around 45. So I'll take the over on that. And the Packers get the win.
Interesting. I like the Jets to cover, but I got Green Bay winning. Because these Jets are getting better each and every week, and they are definitely a tough out. Outside of the one game against Cincinnati, they've really kind of, to start the season because they've kind of been in games. They started to figure it out. They are starting to.
James has the Jets winning that game.
And Zach Wilson is a matchup that you want to look out for because he can operate from the pocket and he can come get outside the pocket. And we just seen what happened with them last week against the Giants with Daniel Jones, who kind of much of the similar makeup in terms of the quarterback style that they have.
Green Bay struggles with mobile quarterbacks.
And so I like the Jets to keep this because 7 points is
7.5, so it's closer to 8.
I like the Jets to get this within 7 points. I like them to lose by maybe 5 or 6. Or maybe even by 3, but I don't think they're going to lose by over 7 points.
Pretty close game.
I am not really sure which guy to take between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones because Green Bay has been ups and downs without these two. When they've had success in games, they've lost because they kind of abandoned the run game because this is a team that they're facing in the Jets that really does struggle against the run. So the props for them would be great. It stands to think that the under should be the way to go against the Jets because Green Bay's defense is in the top 5 in rushing. And overall in passing in the top 10 in rushing. But something about
defense is good.
But something about the team like the Jets who is figuring it out, who they're cardiac Jets. You know, they come back or they get in games, they give you a heart thriller. That makes me believe that I kind of want to go the overs on Garrett Wilson's receiving yards, I think at 49.5, and over on Breece Hall's rushing yards, I think is at 61. And Zach Wilson's rushing yards is 9.5. If they are going to rush the quarterback and play great defense, that means Zach's going to more than likely have to probably make some plays with his legs, which is why I like the rushing yards. And 9.5, he could get that in 3 carries or 2 carries, which I could see happening. But I like the Packers, but I like the Jets to cover, and those are my pick-up.
And James says the Jets are his sleeper pick today, so watch out for this game, ladies and gentlemen. It could be more interesting than people think. Next game, we got Jacksonville taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Colts coming off that disgusting game that they won against the Denver Broncos last Thursday night. And the Jacksonville lost the division game to the Houston Texans, which I did have the Houston Texans winning that game just because I kind of felt like it would be a nasty division game. But this game, I think that the Jaguars have to get back on track. They're going to Indianapolis. They haven't really had a lot of success over there as much as they've had in Jacksonville. So Doug Peterson has to get this team prepared, has to have a good game plan. Trevor Lawrence, take care of the football, no turnovers, run the football well. You have James Robinson back there. You have Travis Etienne back there. And get the ball to your playmakers. And should be able to get the job done. The Colts are not that good. They've actually been pretty terrible this season. And it's time for the Jaguars to get back on the right track and try to take control of this division.
Interesting. I got the Jaguars. I think this is one of those games that's just a matchup problem for the Indianapolis Colts. Granted, most of their issues are with Jacksonville are at home, but they have lost to Jacksonville away from Indianapolis, but they have lost to Jacksonville at home. We're going to take a page from Steven Nunez. If you guys haven't had a chance, he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. That's a beloved fan between both of us. He is high on both the Jacksonville Jaguar running backs, Travis Etienne and James Robinson. And I believe that's a good deal because I think Shaquille Leonard, who, first of all, I want to say is I did not know Darius Leonard went by Shaquille all this time in the league. I thought he went by Darius Leonard, but that's neither here nor there. He's not playing today. So it looks like if the Jacksonville Jaguars want to get back to what really helps them get on a bit of a fast start, going 2-1, they got to run the football more. You know, they got Trevor Lawrence, they got Christian Kirk, who's had a good year to start for his first year in Jacksonville. But I think, you know, Jacksonville wins this game. James Robinson and Travis Etienne, I like their rushing yards. I don't really have anybody for the Colts because I just don't like the props for them.
No Jonathan Taylor.
He's been unfortunate. He's been schemed out of games a lot of times and has to figure it out. He gets the carries.
Well, I'm saying he's still hurt though, so he's not playing.
The yards aren't translating when he did play. But I just don't have anyone. If Matt Ryan had an interception prop, I might go there, but he doesn't. So, and that over and under
41. I'm gonna take the under on that.
I got Jacksonville cover whether they win or they lose by no more than 1 point.
So over and under, yeah, I'm taking the under on that 100%. So Minnesota Vikings against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have a third-string quarterback playing. I don't remember what the guy's name was, but
Skylar Thompson.
Tua is out. Teddy Bridgewater is out. I just don't see how you can win this game with a third-string quarterback against a team like the Vikings. It's actually, they have good players. They are leading their division. They're 4-1, and you can take that for whatever you will. Will they stay at the top of their division by the end of the season? I don't know the answer to that question, but if the Vikings lose this game, then I would say that this is a red flag, and that the Vikings are pretenders if they lose this game. But you're the better team. Yes, you're playing on the road, but these are the type of games that you got to win. You can't lose to teams like this that, when they don't have their first or second string quarterback. So Vikings handle business. They get the win. I guess, being 3-point favorites, I guess it makes sense. And then over and under 45, I don't know. I'll take the over on that.
It's interesting that you just talked. Number one, James has a special disdain for pretty much all NFC teams, especially the Vikings. If you've known James for over the years,
because the Vikings are a bunch of crybaby fans.
He's never been high on those Vikings, and then when they crushed them in the NFC title game, that made James double down on how much he can't stand those Minnesota Vikings. But no, it's interesting.
He ain't wrong.
What we're seeing from Miami is actually proving the worth of Tua Tagovailoa, because coming into this season, people were thinking that they have to move on. They're not going to be good with him. They're not going to be this, that, the third, and here we're seeing them lose 2 straight games after he went down, and now we're wondering if they're going to be even legit enough to win 8 games without Tua, and it shows his worth this game and this team. And it also kind of shows the hypocrisy in fans, because it's kind of based off a week-to-week deal. But once again, I get sidetracked. I like the Vikings, but I like the Dolphins to push this. I think the Dolphins lose by 3. I do think this is an over, because I think both of these teams can score in the high 20s. The Vikings are the quietest 4-1 team that I've seen in a long time. Like, to be honest with you, people probably don't even realize that they're 4-1, which arguably is one of the top 3 teams, because they're the second best record in the game. And they're in the same record with the Bills, the Chiefs, the Giants, and so it's like they kind of get overshadowed. And so,
Cowboys.
Points, this should be a game that they want to show that they're trending upward to be taken seriously. They should win this game, and honestly, they should win this game and win this game by over 3 if they're that team. I do think that there are some inconsistencies with this team, especially on defense. They do have had issues with their secondary. They have had issues, of course, against you guys, against the run. And so with one thing Miami still does well is run the football with Mostert and Chase Edmonds. But it's going to be a tough day for Miami. But I think this game is going to be like a 27-26 type deal, or a 30-28 type deal, because I think both teams are going to give up a ton of yards and a couple scores. But Minnesota ends the day and makes everybody's favorite quarterback, who I don't understand why, Kirk Cousins, makes him, go 5-1.
If anyone is Kirk Cousins your favorite quarterback, then I feel sorry for you. Anyway, Cincinnati Bengals going to the New Orleans Saints. Bengals coming off the loss to the Ravens. The Saints coming off the win against Seattle. So we got to see JJ gloat for a second with his stupid Ravens. And now we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Listen, this is a must-win game. You're playing against Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton stinks. Yes, you're on the road. Yes, it's a hostile environment. Yes, it's a dome. Yes, it's loud. You have a lot of things going against you. Your offensive line sucks. And the Saints actually have a pretty good defense. But the Bengals cannot lose this game and go to 2-4. If they lose this game and go to 2-4, they are in serious, serious trouble. And it's not going to go well for them for the rest of the season, I don't think. So I think that we need to have a classic Joe Burrow game like what we saw from him doing last year. Him and Jamar, they got to get that. They got to get that going. They got to get that explosion going. Or I don't know what to say. I mean, losing to Andy Dalton, you can't do that. You got to win the games you're supposed to win. You start 2-4. I just don't know. I just don't know what this Bengals squad is going to do. Got to handle business. I'm going with the Bengals. Bengals by a close one. Bengals by a field goal. Over and under at 43. I would say you got to go with the under on that. And that's my prediction.
So, two things have happened today. Jamar Chase's jersey is being worn by Joe Burrow today in New Orleans. And if I remember correctly, they won the national title in New Orleans. They played on that field against Clemson, if I believe correctly, or maybe it was down in Dallas. I'm not sure. I know it was one of those two stadiums. And then the Saints have no Marshawn Lattimore today, their best corner. So their best corner is being out while a guy is wearing the jersey of his arguably, well, whether they believe or not, his best player, his best wide receiver, or his favorite target in terms of the big game play. I think I'm taking the Bengals. I'll take the Bengals as well, and I'll take the Bengals over 2 points. I have them by like 3 or 4. As part of me want to go 7. I keep wanting to believe this guy. I have been high on him, but just something's got to click or something's not clicking, and that's Joe Mixon in terms of his rushing yards. You know, at some point in time, he's going to have to get over. He's got over almost 100 yards, 100 carries, but only 300 yards. So that's 3 yards per carry. But you're going up against a Saints defense that gives up close to 125, 130 rushing yards. And they haven't been playing other teams that have had dynamic dual threat quarterbacks, so to speak. So it's like it feels like it should be something to go over. I am confident on Joe Burrow's 2 touchdown over or 1.5, whichever one it is. I think he's going to get 2 or 3. And I like Jamar Chase. I like his yards today because I think this is a big matchup for them. And I think Cincinnati knows that they, you know, even if they lose, they might still be in it, but it's better to win because there's a chance that you could be tied with Baltimore because we'll get to that matchup in a short bit, but it's a chance. So I still got the Bengals to win, and I like the props of Burrow, Chase. Gosh, I want to say his name, but I'm not going him. I'll leave him off. Let's go into that's what I got.
Okay, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tampa Bay coming off the win against the Falcons. And then you got Steelers who were absolutely destroyed this past week against the Buffalo Bills. Tampa Bay, 9.5-point favorites, over and under 46. Listen, I think that's a lot. I think that's a little bit too much points. As bad as Pittsburgh was last week, I got to say, Tampa Bay has not been that consistent on offense. Every time you think that this is going to be the week that the Tampa Bay offense is going to get back and Tom Brady's going to have like that get back performance, that get back game, it just doesn't happen. You know, they're putting up 21, 22, 23 points every week. You know, I want to see the Tampa Bay offense come out and like put 30 points on somebody, put 400 something yards on somebody. And they haven't really done that consistently, especially scoring wise. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that bad as far as 9.5 and over and under. I'll take the over on that. I still think there'll be some points scored in the game, but you know what? The Tampa Bay offense, until they show me that they can be that explosive offense that we've been used to seeing since the last 2 seasons, since Tom Brady went over there, then I can't really say too much because the offense has struggled in Tampa Bay this season. So I do not think it'll be like it was against the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills are a much better team than Tampa Bay on both sides of the ball. But you know what? Until Tampa Bay shows me, I can't really say that they're going to completely open it up on Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh to cover, but Tampa Bay wins.
I understand the 9.5 because, number one, Pittsburgh is really, really bad. And number two, they're going against a quarterback who's historically been destroying them. Healthy, a good, old, young, whatever, Brady has healthily owned the Pittsburgh Steelers. No top 2 corners in Cam Sutton and Levi Wallace today for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is why I'm leaning more into taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and to cover because I like Mike Evans on his receiving yards today. They're down to their 3rd string corner, going to be covering a 6'5" wide receiver who has clearly shown the ability to handle his matchups. I like Fournette's rushing yards today as well. because Pittsburgh has an issue with stopping the run, and that's a huge part of losing TJ Watt as well. They did play the Buffalo Bills, who don't really care about running the football, but even they have had some success against them as well. And then the Buffalo Bills may have the better arsenal of weapons in terms of like Diggs, Davis, Knox, McKenzie, but you have Godwin, Gage, Mike Evans, Cameron Brate. Those are also equally equipped weaponry. So I think this is going to be a good game for Tampa Bay to get back on track. I will take the over on Fournette's yards, Evans' receiving yards. Kenny Pickett, let me explain something about this man, Kenny Pickett. I learned the hard lesson this last week. Because they can't run the football, Kenny Pickett is going to be left to throw the football. This man threw 52 times last week in a blowout loss. 52 times because they couldn't run the football and they got down early. If this game, which my feeling is kind of similar to that, his attempts at 36, I would take the over on those because I think Pittsburgh is going to have to either claw their way back from a 3-touchdown lead or a 3-score lead, and also the fact they're not going to be able to run the football because you have a rushing offense and a horrible offensive line against one of the best defensive lines and best rushing defenses in the game. And Vita Vea is playing. And Vita Vea is the one that starts and ends the entire time on that defense for run against the run. So because of that, I think Pickett's going to have to go over on his passing attempts. And his yards, I think his yards are 220 or 230. I think he'll have to get at least 275, 280 to even be in the conversation to win this game.
Take it away.
All right, we are in. It's a rematch of the Super Bowl to start this entire century. You remember the New York Giants and the Baltimore Ravens when Kerry Collins came across and they lost 34-7. Well, throughout the years, the Ravens and the Giants have played over the years. Right now, the Giants hold no, they don't hold a record. The Ravens hold the series lead. We got Lamar Jackson. And we got J.K. Dobbins, we got Mark Andrews, and the Baltimore Ravens coming against the New York Giants with the upstart New York Giants 4-1, with Saquon Barkley leading the league in scrimmage yards and also being the top performer in the rushing categories. Daniel Jones has looked pretty good. He hasn't caused too many turnovers. He's getting critical first downs when he needs it, whether it be with his arms or his legs. So, and Dable has changed the coaching. Coaching and philosophy is huge here. And it's a coordinator versus coordinator, coordinator versus quarterback. Wink knows Lamar, Lamar knows Wink, Wink knows Greg, Greg knows Wink. So we are going to see what's going on with that today. And to that point that Eric Wilson has just came in and said, Lamar has something for Wink's defense as well. And whatever running back picks up the blitz the best and most consistently is going to get the most carries in this game. I've got the Ravens, and I actually think the Ravens can cover. I think the Ravens can win by a touchdown because I think it's going to come down to Daniel Dimes needs to come down and score a touchdown to tie and win this game. I got this game about either 28-21 or 34-27. I like the overs on Lamar Jackson's touchdowns, which is 2.0 or 1.5, depending on which site you use. I like the over on J.K. Dobbins' rushing yards. I like the over on Saquon Barkley's rushing attempts and rushing yards. And I like Mark Andrews' overs on touchdowns. He has a touchdown on prize pick of 0.5. I think he'll get at least one. But I got the Ravens to win. I got the Ravens to cover. The over or under, I definitely will prefer. I think it's going to go over. And I think those are your pick-ems for this game.
All right, you know what? I'm disgusted by the Giants winning these games this season. At first of the season, I didn't really care because it was obvious that they were getting lucky, but the win that they had versus the Packers was impressive. So the Ravens, I need them to go out and do something. You know, Lamar, I need you to go out and get 100 rushing yards, get 250 passing yards, have, 350, 400 total yards of offense against this Giants team. Their offense is not that good. Their offense cannot really sustain drives and put a lot of points on the board. Their offense is kind of middle of the pack-ish, in the 20s. So, you know what? If Lamar can go out and cook something up, I don't see the Giants being able to win this game. And I really don't. I'm really speaking with my heart right now because the Giants, this game would have me a little bit nervous if I was a Ravens fan because that win against the Packers has them feeling confident that they can probably win this game, and they're at home and they have, the crowd on their side and all that stuff. So I'm going to need something from Lamar. I'm going to need him to cook. I'm going to take the Ravens, but I'm a little nervous.
I actually will say I think this might be a J.K. Dobbins type game because he's getting more and more each week. I think this is a game that Lamar is going to be more efficient in terms of getting like 2 or 3 touchdowns passing. But I think this is a J.K. Dobbins type game. And I will say this about the last week game because I did have a communication with Tyler. Tyler said when they stopped the run, they stopped running the football. That's when the tides have changed for them to beat the New York Giants back then. The first half they were running, they were getting off and getting success. And that second half they didn't. If Baltimore is to learn something, which based off of what I've seen last week, they're starting to learn from their mistakes. That could be transitioned over here, which could be eliminating a possibility of a comeback if in the second half they don't abandon what helps them be successful in the first half, which in my opinion is going to be running the football. Like I said, Wink's going to throw it at you every which way. He's going to blitz everybody. But the difference is there may be situations, the way you beat the blitz is you take it right to them. You take it right to them in the screen game. You take it right to them up the A and B gaps. And there might be instances where you may think you're going against 3 defensive linemen and that A and B gaps, but you actually could be going against a strong safety and a defensive lineman and a linebacker because other people are dropping back in coverage. Use that to your benefit. And I think that's going to be a key here. I think Green Bay had not come across Winks Martindale's defense in a long time. Baltimore knows the type of defense he has. He's going to have different wrinkles. He's probably going to catch people surprised. But the wrinkles that the blitz scheme that Winks used to, Baltimore has used to that as well because Mike McDonald came from and learned under him as well, but he's not quite him. So I think it's going to be a good game for Baltimore, and I think it's going to be a J.K. Dobbins type game.
J.K. Dobbins game. All right, now we got to go to the 4 o'clock windows. Carolina Panthers, Los Angeles Rams. You got the Panthers just fired Matt Rule.
P.J. Walker.
They've been looking horrible this season. The Rams have been looking also horrible, but not that horrible. The Rams are at home. 41.5 for the over-under. I'm taking the under on that. Neither one of these teams has looked good on either side of the ball, but let alone offense. You're not going to be able to score. I don't see either of these teams, both of these teams being able to score, 24, 25 plus points in this game for them to hit that over. And then the Rams, I just think they got to, get the ball to their playmakers against this Panthers defense. It's not good. And they should be able to win the game. So I'm just going to take the Rams here.
Interesting. I'm going to take the Rams as well. I think this is going to be the start of a really, really bad
Rams 35 to 10.
The Panthers. The Panthers might be fighting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. As it stands right now, they might be fighting with the Pittsburgh Steelers for the worst record in the game. But I think the Rams are going to win. And I could see the Rams covering too because I think their defense is going to fuel their offense. I think there's going to be a couple turnovers, maybe a turnover for a score because Aaron Donald is still Aaron Donald. And he is going to have good success on this Carolina offensive line. If there are over or unders for P.J. Walker's interceptions, I would take the over because I think it's going to be a bit of a hurried type situation where he's going to have to make a throw that he doesn't want to make, and then they're going to capitalize with, Jalen or Johnson or Bobby Wagner. I do like the overs on Darrell Henderson's rushing yards. I've noticed with the Rams, they start the game with Cam Akers and they kind of finish it off with Darrell Henderson, who's kind of like a bruiser. But I like the overs on Higbee's receptions, which is at 5.5. And I will take the overs on Cooper Kupp's receiving yards. Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee are the 2 most targeted players on Stafford's team. You would think that Allen Robinson would go off, but Allen Robinson hasn't been able to get off. Now, interesting enough, J.C. Horn is having a great year at corner, and he'll be matched up against Cooper Kupp. So that receiving yards is going to be a good one. But I think Cooper Kupp, because being a route technician, being probably the most polished route runner outside of Stephon Diggs currently, and Devontae Adams, you're going to always have chances to get success because you're always going to find the sweet spots in any coverage that you're going against.
Okay, next game we have the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Division game, Arizona 2.5-point favorites, over-unders at 50.5. You know the Seattle Seahawks can score a lot of points. They scored a lot of points against the Saints, lost that game. They scored a lot of points against the Detroit Lions. They scored, 48 points against them, although the Lions had the worst defense in the league. But Geno Smith is actually not looking trash this year, surprisingly. And you're at home. You got the home crowd on your side. You know, Seattle, that's a loud building. That's a loud, tough place to play. And with Arizona, I think what we saw last week, especially at the end of that football game by Kyler Murray, was an embarrassment. I mean, how are you going to slide before you get the first down? And, you waste an opportunity there. That was a wasted opportunity by Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray put on display that this man has very low football IQ. The the Arizona Cardinals paid him all this money, and this is the type of stuff that he does. And Kyler Murray, I just don't trust this guy with the game in his hands. And if this is a guy that you have to say, watch film, and they put in your contract, and then they take it out because you're complaining about it. This isn't the guy. Kyler Murray is not the guy. And in the second half of the season, which we're getting ready to go into, week 6, week 7, week 8, that's when Kyler Murray starts to tail off. And don't forget, new Call of Duty's coming out next week, and the numbers and the history has backed it up. Kyler Murray's statistical decline always begins when the new Call of Duty comes out. Kyler Murray cares more about the game of Call of Duty than the game of football. Seattle Seahawks get the job done at home.
Wow, where did you pull that out of your vault? Oh, my gosh.
I've known that for a long time, bro.
He has not really been a Kyler fan.
I did a research project in my college class on it. So that's actually why I know that.
I say, this man is not the Kyler fan. Okay, Kyler and him are just not there.
Definitely not.
Not there. Divisional games are tricky. Geno is playing well. They are at home. I'm gonna take I'll take the Seahawks, and I would like the Seahawks to win this. I would do a Seahawks money line. The over under, I would take I'm leaning towards the over because neither defenses are very good. They are not that great. They don't tackle well. They don't wrap up. But what's interesting is how this Mr. Walker III for Seattle is going to pick up the slack that Rashad Penny had to start off, because Rashad Penny was kind of getting off before he got hurt. Overs and unders.
A few good games.
I'm taking the overs on Marquise Brown's receptions and receiving yards. Marquise Brown's receptions are increasing each and every week, and his yards are each and every week. Shout out to you, Marquise. I know you loved Baltimore, but you wanted to go to a place where you can impact the wins and the losses, and you didn't feel like you had to do that here, and you're starting to impact the games for them. Right now, you guys are 2-3, but I think you might be 2-4 today, because I think this just is not going up there for the discombobulated team that way you have. And with the questions surrounding Kyler Murray, this might be a matchup that, not going to be down. And Geno Smith does play well, very well, at home. So I got
Geno Smith actually leading the league right now with the highest completion percentage, by the way.
Exactly.
Pretty crazy.
Got it.
No one saw that coming. If you would have said that before the season, somebody would have said you need to get drug tested. But game of the week, pretty much. Buffalo Bills going to Kansas City. Rematch last year. AFC divisional round game that went to overtime. It was one of the craziest games that we've ever seen in the playoffs. You had the Chiefs win that game, And the Bills took the lead, had 13 seconds left on the clock. Somehow Mahomes goes all the way down the field, and he gets the team to field goal range, force overtime, and then the Chiefs get the ball. They score, and that's it. And then you had a big deal about changing overtime rules. And when the Buffalo Bills fans were so upset about the overtime rules, I was just like, you're upset about overtime rules and saying that you lost the game on the coin toss. You didn't lose the game because of coin tossed. You lost the game because your defense was so trash that your offense got you to lead with 13 seconds and you couldn't close the deal. But you want to be mad about overtime. And as far as the Bills and, all this talk about revenge, listen, I've seen this movie before in the NFL. Team is always talking about revenge, and they're so focused on revenge that they're not focused on the game plan, the execution, and everything like that. You're going into Kansas City. It's a hostile environment. It's a loud. Arrowhead Stadium is probably the loudest stadium in the league. Chiefs fans are crazy. They ride for their team. It's a great home field advantage. And I think the Bills are just not going to be focused on this game like they should be. They're focused on revenge. They're not focused on, this is a game that we have to win. This is a great AFC opponent. This is one of the best teams in the AFC. This is a team that we're probably going to have to play again. So I think that the Chiefs are focused like that. And as long as Andy Reid is calling the plays and Patrick Mahomes is taking the snaps at quarterback and you got Travis Kelce out there doing serious damage, I'm taking the Chiefs to win this game. And this is the first time in the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes era that the Chiefs have opened up as a home underdog for the very first time. So that's pretty interesting. But I definitely will take the over 54. This is going to be an explosive offensive game.
When you talk about revenge, I've always been like, the revenge doesn't happen in the regular season. The revenge is when you get it in the postseason, because the revenge is you're not trying to get revenge because you lost the game per se. You're trying to get revenge because you lost the game in a do or die where the season was no more. So if you lose this game or you beat them this game, it's not going to change any tides or anything like that. Maybe it may be the difference between them coming to you and then you going to them, but it's not going to be the do or die. So I think that may not be the right mentality for them to approach. But I do like this to be a huge shootout. I like the Chiefs because what Buffalo does well, Kansas City has learned and has become efficient and supremely electric in as well. Kansas City used to try to get the big play. Tyreek Hill down the line, Miko, Denarcus Robinson, Pringle, Watkins, Kelce, all of them over the years, they've been trying to get the big play down the field. Buffalo is all about eliminating the big play. They cut that cover 2 shell where they cover and they blanket the backside so that way you don't get those 40 and 50-yard plays or those 20 and 30-yard chunk plays. They love their linebackers, Milano and Trey Edmonds. They love them in the coverage. They love them spying quarterbacks who are mobile like Patrick Mahomes is. And, they've had great experience because they go against Josh Allen. I think the matchups are more favorable for the Bills, but I think that Mahomes has just such in unison with Andy Reid that
100%.
They are going to figure it out, and they work the field now. They are methodical in their drives. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is starting to get carries. He's not what he was last year where he was getting maybe 10 carries at best. They will use him to move down the field. And I think that because what Buffalo does great, Kansas City has become elite in, which is moving the ball up the field with Juju, Travis, Sky, Edwards-Helaire in the passing game sometimes. I got the Chiefs winning this game, and I got the Chiefs and them to hit over. The overs, okay, please. Josh Allen's touchdowns are 2.5. Total touchdowns are 2.5. Same as Patrick Mahomes. So that's passing and rushing. I like both of them to be over. I like Diggs' yards to be over. And I like Travis Kelce's over on his receiving yards or touchdowns if he has them, depending on which bet you use.
Cowboy X Factor says that he likes our show. Appreciate it, Cowboy X Factor.
You, man.
Great guy, great friend. Thanks for watching. So,
all right, here we go.
Speaking of Cowboy X Factor, let's be honest. This is a moment that all the people watching at home has been waiting for.
Oh, God.
The Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, this is like the fourth or fifth time that I've been talking about this game. I went on 3 different shows this week, including the Gauntlet on Friday nights. Make sure you guys check that out. Part of the Sideline Sports Network Empire, Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Shameless plug. LinkedIn, Sports Arena. I was everywhere talking about Eagles Cowboys. But something happened. I don't remember when it was. It Thursday or Friday? I want to say you had DeMarcus Lawrence come out and say that, well, Jalen Hurts hasn't proven anything because he hasn't played against the Dallas Cowboys, or something along the lines. Or Jalen Hurts, we don't know if Jalen Hurts is good because he hasn't played the Dallas Cowboys.
Defense.
Dallas Cowboys, you have not proven anything because you've not done nothing but play a bunch of sorry offensive teams. All the offenses that you played are in the 20s. All the offenses that you played can't move the ball consistently down the field. All the offenses you played can't run the ball like the Philadelphia Eagles can. All the offenses you played do not have the weapons that the Eagles offense has. You have to defend everyone on this offense. You have to defend Dallas Goedert. You have to defend A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You have to defend Quez Watkins because he's got that deep speed. He's a deep threat that can stretch the defense. You have to defend Jalen Hurts not only as a passer because he has taken that step to the next level as a passer. So saying that he has not proven anything because he hasn't played against the Dallas Cowboys, that is completely asinine. And when you look at DeMarcus Lawrence history, this guy does not have the credentials to be talking like what he is. You're not a great player. You're a mid player on a team with a big name. The Dallas Cowboys are one of the biggest names in sports. So if someone on Dallas Cowboys says something, it's going to be a big deal. But if DeMarcus Lawrence was on the Jacksonville Jaguars, nobody would know who this guy is. Why? Because twice in his career, he's got double-digit sacks. Every other year, he's under. Last year, 3 sacks. This year, he's got 3 sacks for the whole season. He got all the sacks against the New York Giants. Every other game, nothing. He's doing nothing, but he's talking like he's big stuff. So I don't think that putting that bulletin board material on the board for the Eagles was a very good idea. The Eagles are already a better team on both sides of the football. Cooper Rush coming into this hostile environment, riding the wave of the energy that the Phillies put on beating the Atlanta Braves in the playoffs is going to carry over. It was already going to be a hostile environment, but it's going to be absolutely crazy down there. And I don't think Cooper Rush is going to know what hit him. I don't know what the Dallas Cowboys defense is going to know what hit him because they have not seen an offense as electrifying and potent as what the Eagles have. Eagles are going to handle business at home and get that win, get to 6-0 going into the bye.
I think both statements are true because I think the Eagles haven't played a great defense that much either. So I think that you were right when you're saying they've never played an offense that was just as equipped, and you guys haven't played a defense that's just as equipped as them. So I think both statements are true. This is a divisional game. And I know on the gauntlet, I believe I went Philly. I think I went Philly on the gauntlet.
You did. You said on the gauntlet that it was going to be like a close game or whatever, but the Eagles were
right. That's what I said. I think I went Philly on there, but I'm gonna be alone. I'm gonna be a different one and switch it up. I'm gonna go Cowboys in the upset, just for the simple fact of I think there's so much that's amped up to think that Philly is just going to run away with this. The DeMarcus Lawrence comments, the Phillies winning the what's it called? The Phillies won their ALC.
They beat the Braves.
They beat the Braves. They got over. I think all that is going to be making us think that, okay, you know what? This is a game that they're going to come in. They're going to dominate. They're going to move. They're going to do what they do. It's all about gap control for Philly, for Cincinnati, for Dallas, if they want to be able to stop the Jalen Hurts-led offense, which, interesting enough about Jalen Hurts, I was just looking, I didn't realize that most of his touchdowns have kind of come rushing because he only has 4 passing touchdowns. It feels like he should have had at least like 7 or 8. But Micah Parsons, every week he is understanding and learning the type of player he is and still being able to impact the game. Constantly double-teamed, still being able to figure out to make an impact. So, yes, I think Dexter Lawrence's comments stemmed from having that guy back there with him. Mike is just not the guy that's going to say it. DeMarcus turns to be that guy. I got this game. The over-under is 42, so that means the game would be like 21-21 or 24 to like 19. Like I think this game will go over. I've got Dallas to cover, whether they cover losing by no more than 6, but in my opinion, I think they're going to win. The over and unders, I do like A.J. Brown's receiving yards because I know Trevon Diggs is going to be matched up against him, and Diggs does have issues with physical guys like him. But I do like the over. I like the way Dallas is playing on offense in the sense of they know that
trash on offense. They put up 15 points last week.
They're not the most prolific offense, but they do enough with their defense because I don't think Philly's offense is going to get off as easily on this defense because I think a lot of the hype is going to be.
So how is Dallas going to put points on the board? Cooper Rush going to put points on the board?
I think this game, I actually have it as a 21-17. I actually can see.
The Eagles defense is number 1 in the league in takeaway.
I actually can see Dallas. I can see Cooper Rush offense getting 21 points with this Dallas defense. I just feel whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win this game. And in my opinion, I just feel like Dallas is going to come in on a Sunday night.
So you're counting on Jalen Hurts to turn the ball over more than Cooper Rush?
Yeah, I do. I think so.
Even though he really hasn't been turning the ball over.
Agreed. Neither has Cooper. But I think that in this game, I think Micah Parsons is going to be the difference maker. It's going to cost a strip sack on Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see if Micah Parsons, how fast, how athletic Michael Parsons
Nobody can say that they trust Jalen Hurts less against the Cowboys defense than they trust Cooper Rush against the Eagles defense.
Well, that's them.
The Eagles defense.
That's them.
If the Eagles defense or if the Cowboys defense is getting all this credit and all this praise, the Eagles defense needs to get the credit and the praise. Because other than week 1,
I'm just saying
they're basically holding people.
I think your hype
way under their scoring average.
I think your hype is going to work against you. I think your hype is going to work against you and cause some turnovers. And I think that Jalen Hurts is going to have 2 turnovers, one by a fumble because he's going to be trying to do so much to win the game. And then I think it's going to be a pick because I do think Dallas' secondary is still pretty good. And I think they're top 5 in turnovers in terms of interceptions, I believe. But it's going to be interesting. That's just me. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to see how athletic Micah Parsons is chasing Jalen Hurts all up and down the field. Yes, make a note, please. Dallas Cowboys. Oh! Lone upset for me.
2 turnovers. Cooper Rush outplays Jalen Hurts.
I said he would make the more plays, yes.
Okay. Let me just get that.
Basically, I'd become the moron of the week if they lose, and that's what James is going to put on Twitter.
All right, there we go. We got that on the record. Now let's finish up with Monday Night Football. We have the Denver Broncos, who were horrible. Russell Wilson was trash in the last time we saw him, and they made up something about like some injury that he had, and that's why he's trash, but he's going to continue to play through it. He's in prime to let. Why do they keep putting the Broncos? Please start flexing. I don't think Monday Night Football can flex the games, but if any other of the networks can flex the Broncos off of primetime for the rest of the season, please do it because I'm really tired of seeing this team. This team's garbage. Their offense sucks. They can't do anything right.
The schedule's pre-planned.
I feel really bad for the defense, though. The defense of the Broncos is actually really good. They're doing their part. But Russell Wilson is just putting this team continuously in a bad situation. And against the Chargers, who also really haven't impressed me that much, I really don't. This is kind of a pick 'em game for me, but the Chargers, I think, are a better team. I trust Justin Herbert way more than I trust Russell Wilson right now. And I just think they're going to handle the business and get the win because this Broncos team, they haven't shown the consistency on the offensive side of the ball that they can do anything. So Broncos going to lose. Broncos are trash. Russell Wilson, one of the worst moves of the season. Everyone said he was going to make this Broncos team a Super Bowl level team and all this stuff. And, people were saying, do you want Aaron Rodgers or do you want Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers? I remember that happening on the Gauntlet. And then this
you guys kidding me? Are you guys kidding me?
It was absolutely pathetic to see that. But Russ ain't cooking. Russ can't cook. Chargers win.
I am not going to sit here and act like the Chargers have been consistent because I think they have just as many issues as Denver does. I think the Chargers have underperformed. They've been underwhelming. They have been ridiculously up and down for such a talented roster. There's no reason why you should have had to eke out wins against the Cleveland Browns when you have arguably one of the better defenses on the game against a game-managing quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, or the boo-boo that you laid against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, downright horrible. I do not get faults on I understand people's frustrations about the whole idea with the primetime games for Denver, but the schedule was decided well before this even came into play, before anyone knew that this team was going to struggle right here. And at the end of the day, I got no issues with it because at the end of the day, people would just as much people want to see Russell Wilson throw great and be great. People want to see him fail. I don't think this is going to be. I think this is an AFC West type game where it's going to be one that you would think be something that's going to happen, but it turns out to not be. I still do not trust that Justin Herbert is healthy enough to where if the run game gets stopped, he's going to be able to will his team back on those cracked ribs by his arm. And I think this defense that the Denver Broncos has is going to make life hard for him. And I think the defense is going to make that key turnover or stop to allow the Denver Broncos to beat the LA Chargers on Monday night. Now, the over or under, I can't see because he said Russ can't cook perfect. I would take the Chargers to cover, but I got the Broncos winning. The over or unders, I would take the overs on.
I'm taking the under.
I'm taking the overs on the running backs for.
I'm taking the under on points.
I'll not take over on points. You're right. I think over. I think the unders on running backs. I think Melvin Gordon's the running back that's playing right now. I'll take him the over, but I'll take the unders on. I think if there's interception props on both quarterbacks, I'll take them both. I think they're both going to make a turnover, but who makes the final turnover is going to be the issue.
Fair enough. So that is pretty much what we have time for. You guys can see. We will post the results after, Tuesday or Wednesday or something. Tied last week, 11-5. We'll see what this week brings. Friday night, gauntlet. Make sure you guys don't miss it. We're going to talk everything that's going on in the NFL. Part of the Silent Sports Network Empire.
Shout out to you guys for supporting us, man. We really appreciate it. We hope,
I know a lot of people on YouTube are starting to love JJ. They're like, when's JJ coming back? So it's nice to see that, and it's nice to see that some people actually like JJ because
Thank you guys. I'm very humbled. I'm very,
some people
very
don't,
humbled.
But I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but I appreciate it.
Anyway, we will see you guys next Sunday, and we'll see you guys Friday night. All right.
Perfect.